Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a pretty interesting video. We're going to be talking about Vladimir's trivia, and we're going to go through all of my answers and explain why I chose these answers. But first off, I'm just going to jump straight into it. For those people who just pretty much don't care about the explanation and just want the answers, here you guys go. These are my answers. However, unlike basically anybody else, I'm not going to guarantee that these are 100% going to be correct or whatnot, because really no one knows until the real answers come out. And anyone that says that they're fully confident that they're correct and whatnot, especially when you see like Reddit and whatnot, like for the Kassadin quiz and Urgot quiz, more often than not turns out they got something wrong, and people all just start blaming each other as to why they got the questions wrong. So these are definitely not 100% correct, but I do think that they have a high chance of being correct. So if you guys are wondering why you should even listen to me in the first place, well, I actually wanted to do this video for the Kassadin and the Urgot ones as well, but I eventually decided not to because, I wasn't really confident of my answers. But after the Kassadin and Urgot one and seeing how many people, especially on Reddit and whatnot, were just spreading misinformation and sometimes even disinformation, I decided to make a video myself. So this is the one that I got for Kassadin when I got all of the Kassadin's answers correct, the icon that you get. And also, of course, for Urgot, this is the Urgot icon that you get when you get the Urgot quiz correct. So far, I've been 2 for 2 in terms of getting 6 out of 6 questions correct for the quizzes. Hopefully, that will remain the case for the Vladimir quiz. But without further ado, let's actually just go ahead and jump straight into talking about this Vladimir trivia and explaining why I chose these answers. So the first question is asking, what is Vladimir? Well, basically, this is a pretty easy question. Basically, if you just do a simple Google search, you'll already see that he is a hemomancer and not a vampire. You can even search something like is Vladimir a vampire, and you will literally get the results that he is not. It is in his lore that he is in fact a hemomancer, which is basically a blood mage, because he did learn blood magic basically. And he is not in fact a vampire. He does not turn other people into vampires as well, so he is definitely not a vampire. So next question is, what can Vladimir do when he's in his sanguine pool? His sanguine pool is, of course, his W, the one that he becomes untargetable. And unlike PC, the answer is not cast abilities, because you can't actually use your E when you're in your W in Wild Rift for some reason. No one should really get this wrong, because you can actually test this out in the practice tool even if you don't own Vladimir. You will realize that you cannot auto-attack, you cannot cast abilities, and you definitely cannot go through walls. So the one that you can do is you can use items. Of course, as I said, you should go into the practice tool to test this one out, which I did yesterday, and I found that you can use items when you're inside the pool. You can, like for example, go into your W and then Proto Belt. That does work. So the answer is use items. Question 3. From whom did he learn his dark powers from? The answer is a Darkin, and this is actually from Vladimir's bio. I'm not going to say Vladimir's lore because that's not very specific. It's from Vladimir's bio. So if you Google Vladimir lore, the first result you're going to get is a website from League Universe where you will get a bio and also get a Vladimir story. So from Vladimir's bio, it's basically like a couple of paragraphs of Vladimir's lore. It does mention that he did get his powers from a Darkin. The Darkin gave him the powers and used those powers to, of course, destroy his father's kingdom, and he basically became a servant to the Darkin until he eventually killed the Darkin and took the Darkin's power from himself. So he did learn his powers from a Darkin. Now, question 4. This is a bit of a tricky one, and honestly, this is the question that I'm the least sure of. So basically, you can already eliminate Demacia and Icathia because he is currently residing in Noxus, and he is born in Camivore. So from his bio, he was born in Camivore, and he in fact is the prince of Camivore. However, Camivore now kind of no longer really exists, and now he does live and reside in Noxus. So I've really gone back and forth between Noxus and Camivore for this one. It's sort of like, for example, if you're a Chinese from China in America and someone asks where you're from, you could say like, oh, I'm from Seattle, or I'm from California, or you could say I'm from China. So it's kind of like, is it where you were born or is it where you're currently from? So this is a really ambiguous question, and honestly, if I get the quiz wrong because of this question, I'm not going to be too mad about it because the question is completely unclear. But from my interpretation of the question, I believe that this is asking where was he originally from, so I'm going to say it's from Camivore. So question number 5, this one is another pretty simple one. This one, all of the answers for this question can be found in Vladimir's bio once again. So in his bio, it does say that he joined LeBlanc and the Black Rose. It also says that he is a prince of Camivor, or at least he was. So he is, of course, part of the royal family as the prince. And it also mentions that he is part of the Crimson Circle, which is him as well as his followers after he became a Hemomancer. So the only one he's not in is the Trifarix Council, which it explicitly mentions he is against the Trifarix Council. So he's definitely not a part of them, and that is going to be the answer for question 5. And for our final question, which of these activities is Vladimir not known for? This is the second question that I'm not fully sure of, but I believe the answer is C, trafficking with demons. Because draining victims in back alleys, you can see from like the cinematic, like the login loop in Wild Rift when you log in. Before you press enter, you can see him doing that, so I believe that that is something he's known for. Bumping elbows with aristocrats is, I believe, another thing that he's known for, because it does mention in his lore from the bio, once again the bio, that he does of course talk with like the high society members of Noxus, and that of course to me counts as bumping elbows with aristocrats, so I do think that he is known for that. Of course, indulgent hedonistic behavior, we can assume from the fact that he takes pleasure in, of course, draining victims in back alleys, and, you know, basically just doing such activities, that we can assume that he is, of course, you know, he does that. So we can then only by elimination conclude that trafficking with demons has to be the answer, because nowhere else really talks about him trafficking with demons at all, because basically he doesn't, nowhere really mentions him dealing with demons at all, at least from my research on his bio, as well as his 2 stories on the universe, which is of course where you mainly get all the answers from. And I really can't see anywhere that says any of this kind of information, so as such I can only conclude that this is going to be the answer. So overall, these are my answers. I'm confident of my answers for question 1, 2, 3, as well as 5, but question 4 and 6, not too confident. But honestly, it was kind of the same story with like the Urgot quiz as well. I think Urgot quiz, there was like 2 or 3 questions I wasn't confident in, and also Kassadin quiz was like 1 or 2 questions I wasn't confident in as well. But overall, these are my answers that I'm, you know, relatively like 90% confident in, I would say. So, you know, hopefully this would have helped you guys, and hopefully that these answers are correct for my sake, and also for the sake of all of those who, of course, use these answers. So with all that, thank you guys for watching the video, and goodbye.